It was many years ago when I was a high school student dreaming of becoming a baseball player. One day, I saw my dad struggling under the weight of a large object as he entered our house. The man helping my dad was his superior from the same company my dad worked for. My dad's superior wanted to give a gift because our dad was such a valuable asset to the company. The man even joked that our dad was doing so well that he might be promoted faster than him and become his own superior. The gift turned out to be a decorative cabinet. Despite being a bit old, it looked quite expensive and elegant. My dad's superior mentioned that it would bring good luck and insisted we should place it in the master bedroom. After thanking him, the man left, and it was time to move the cabinet into the bedroom. Upon closer look, I found it oddly intriguing. After nagging and pleading with my parents, we finally decided to place the cabinet in my room. It looked much better with the cabinet inside. That night, I went to bed early. Just as I was drifting off to sleep, my younger brother shook me awake, asking me to retrieve a marble that had rolled under the cabinet we just brought in. A marble? I muttered, confused. It turned out that while playing with the marbles alone, my little brother accidentally dropped one, and it had rolled underneath the cabinet. Worried about facing Mom's wrath if left unattended, I reluctantly got up. Where exactly is it? I wondered. The marble seemed to be lodged deep inside, and the gap was too narrow for my hand to reach. I tried using a long stick to poke under the cabinet, hoping to push the marble out, but all I could manage to retrieve was a torn, yellowed scrap of paper with some strange letters on it. Despite my efforts, I couldn't get the marble out. Frustrated, I gave up. But my little brother's nagging persisted, insisting I retrieve it. In frustration, I took away the whole box of marbles my little brother had been playing with and placed it on top of the cabinet, out of his reach. Then I returned to bed, refusing to help. How much time has passed? As I drifted in and out of sleep, I heard something falling to the floor and rolling around. The marbles that were placed on top of the cabinet were rolling around all over the floor. How did the marbles fall? It was a bit strange, but I started picking up the marbles one by one. While picking them up, I couldn't help but wonder, how did these marbles fall? So I raised my head to look, and there I saw a woman sitting on top of the cabinet. She had her head down, and her disheveled hair was long. I hurriedly turned on the light in the room. There's no one. I rubbed my eyes and looked again, but there was nothing on top of the cabinet. Am I dreaming? As I tried to go back to sleep, I flipped the switch, but it wouldn't respond. Is it broken? As I stared at the fluorescent light on the ceiling, through my peripheral vision, the woman on top of the cabinet appeared and disappeared repeatedly. Then she suddenly opened her eyes. Hearing my scream, my mom and dad came rushing into our room. I told them there was a woman sitting on top of the cabinet. Only response from Dad was scolding, asking if I had been dreaming. I cautiously lifted my head to look, but there was nothing up there. Even though Mom tried turning the lights on and off after hearing my account, the woman didn't appear. I got scolded again for causing a ruckus in the middle of the night for no reason. However, a few days later, my conviction grew stronger that what I saw was real, and not just a dream. As I returned from school, I heard Mom's piercing screams from inside. I rushed in, only to find Mom clutching my little brother, trembling, and blood streaming from his face. There were broken glasses everywhere. How did you get hurt? My little brother, as he pointed at the cabinet, said he saw a woman sitting on top of it. About 30 minutes prior, my little brother woke up from a nap beside Mom to go to the bathroom. As he opened his eyes, he saw a woman with her mouth stitched up sitting on top of the cabinet. Terrified, he tried to wake Mom up, but she didn't even twitch, as if she was in deep sleep. Meanwhile, blood started oozing out from the woman's stitched mouth, forming a puddle on the floor. As the puddle of blood got bigger and bigger, and just as it was about to touch my little brother's body, he rushed into Mom's arms, and at that moment, the window shattered. One of the big pieces of broken glass shards struck where my little brother's head had been. If my little brother hadn't moved in the nick of time, things could have been even worse. Mom immediately took my little brother to the hospital. Meanwhile, I anxiously awaited for Dad to come home from work. Finally, Dad came. Immediately asked him if we could get rid of the cabinet because something seemed off. I tried explaining what happened to my little brother and the woman I saw, and it didn't seem like a coincidence, but Dad ignored me and wouldn't listen. Instead, he scolded me for talking nonsense and emphasized how valuable the cabinet was. He even meticulously inspected the cabinet for any scratches caused by the broken window. On that night, my younger sibling, who had received treatment, slept in the master bedroom with our parents, while I, lacking the courage to sleep alone in my room, ended up lying alone in the living room. Glancing at the door of my room, chills ran down my spine. I tried to force myself to sleep and closed my eyes. Then I heard the sound of the door opening. Fear gripped me, and I covered my ears. Through the open doorway, slowly oozing, was sticky blood, which slowly approached me. I couldn't move, as if my whole body was paralyzed, unable even to scream. Before I knew it, the blood had covered my entire body. At that moment, the woman jumped off from the top of the cabinet and was crawling towards me. It was then that I awoke to the sound of my mother calling me. Opening my eyes to her voice, I realized it was already morning. It had all been just a dream. I couldn't hold it anymore. I explained to my dad what my little brother and I had seen, including his accident, all because of that cabinet, and pleaded to get rid of it. Dad became visibly upset and warned me not to complain about the cabinet, or I would be severely punished. Dad's acting strange. He was never this angry before. I couldn't take it anymore. I was so angry, hurt, and frustrated. Without realizing it, I found myself hitting the cabinet with my baseball bat over and over again. The cabinet toppled over and shattered into pieces. My dad began frantically gathering the broken pieces. Meanwhile, Mom was shocked to discover something underneath the cabinet, 8 scraps of papers written with some unknown symbols and writings. They were talismans which were thought to ward off ghosts or evil spirits. Dad, taken aback, nervously said they must have been stuck there by someone to bring good luck. However, Dad and Mom couldn't hide their uneasy expressions. The next day, Mom took me to a local Buddhist temple with 8 talismans that we had found. The old monk greeted us.
Only 8 talismans? But where is the last one? There were supposed to be 9 talismans altogether.
Suddenly, I remembered the day when the cabinet arrived at home. It was when my younger brother lost one of his marbles under the cabinet. While trying to retrieve the marble, I accidentally scratched the bottom of the cabinet, tearing that piece of paper off. It wasn't intentional. It accidentally ripped while I was trying to retrieve the marble for my brother, I explained eagerly. I expected a scolding for tearing the talisman, but to my surprise, the monk said,
"You saved your entire family,"
praising me. He seemed proud. According to him, someone had cast a curse onto that cabinet, and the curse required 9 talismans to be fully effective. However, because I accidentally ripped one of them, its power weakened. The monk added that whoever had given us that cabinet held a grudge against my dad. He then asked me if the ghost I had seen had her mouth stitched shut tightly. Surprised, I asked, "How did you know?" Wondering how he knew what the ghost I saw looked like. He explained that the way to turn a wandering ghost into a powerful, vengeful spirit was to stitch up her mouth. After getting rid of the cabinet, Dad returned to his old self. However, he was profoundly shaken by the true nature of his trusted boss, whom he had followed and trusted all this time. On the outside, he pretended to favor Dad like family, but in reality, he envied him to the point of wishing him harm out of jealousy. Looking back, when the man joked that our dad was doing so well that he might be promoted faster than him and become his own superior, it may not have been a joke at all. He was afraid of my dad getting a promotion, eventually taking his position or higher. This made me realize you can never truly comprehend what lies within one's heart.